And then, so again, for the first part of the movie, I guess it would be considered the first act. All John is just running around, going from place to place. And there's this one scene where we see Winston, and Winston is, I guess, somehow keeping track of him. I don't know. And he goes, "Where are you going, John?" And I'm going, "Yeah, John, where the hell are you going? I have no idea what the hell you're doing or what the hell the point is." Now, I'm not going to get into concept of the plots and the story because they're so weak. Okay, so we know that he's excommunicated, right? Now, part of the world building in this is the table. Because there's, under the table, or when you watch it, you'll get a better explanation than I'm ever going to even bother trying. And the funny thing is that because he's excommunicated, no one's allowed to help him. He can't have assistance. Nobody can protect him or whatever. Unless the story requires him to be able to have some kind of convince people that he has amnesty. So they give him the help despite, like, they have to give him the help to keep the story going, even though they know they shouldn't be able to give him the help. It's forced and it's pathetic. And here's the other thing. It's like we'll get X amount of time for world building, and then it'll be like, oh, time for a fight, and then boom, we'll just get to John, he'll run around a little bit, and then there'll be a fight scene. And then John will just continue on. And then we'll go back to the world building. Again, not story, world building. Okay? That's the main problem with this movie. There's world building and fight scenes. The story is so nothing and so contrived that how do I explain the story? Okay, I'm gonna do this now, so I'm probably gonna end up whatever. He wants to obviously live through this. So he needs to find this person named Sophia so that Sophia can send him to her boss who can give him information about where the person who actually is in charge of everything. So that's the story. That's the plot. Okay? John wants to go to person A, who can tell them how to get to person B, who can tell them how to get to person C. Okay? That's 3/4 of the movie. Okay? That's your plot. That's your story. Everything else is world building and and fight scenes. Okay, then we have this big fight scene, and I mean long fight scene in the middle of the movie. It involves John, Sophia, and dogs. Now here's why the fight sucks. Okay? Because John and Sophia are in God mode. They're in God mode. There's no consequence. There is literally zero possibility that they're gonna die. And there are dozens of these guys all over the place. And it's the only thing that's different about this fight scene is that Sophia is just as good as John, and this fight scene involves dogs. That's the only gimmick that this fight scene has. And for most of this fight scene, I'm going, can we get this? I'm done. Can we move on? And I timed it. Okay? It's quite literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Now you're going, 5 minutes isn't that big a deal, right? Okay. I'm going to give you a sampling, okay, of the fight scene. Okay? Shooting, 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 dog. Shooting, shooting, shooting. Shooting, 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 dog. Shooting, 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 a dog attacks. Shooting, 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 dog attacks. Shooting, shooting, shooting. Shooting, 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 dog attacks. Shooting, 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 shooting. Shooting, 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 dog attacks. Shooting, shooting. That's 30 seconds. Imagine me doing that for 5 solid minutes. It's like, okay, we got it. Can we move on? And that's exactly what I was thinking during that entire fight scene. It was boring. Okay, and here's what even helps accentuate how boring the scene was. Because after this big fight scene, they leave the, I don't know, warehouse, house or whatever. And there's a 20-second fight scene where the two cars show up. And there's this 20-second fight scene of them killing the guys in the car, the dogs attacking, boom, 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 boom. And it was way more exciting, way more interesting than the 5-minute bullet fest that just preceded it. And it was like, that 20-second fight scene to get the car was actually 100 times more interesting than what was supposed to be like the big fight scene of the movie. Oh, and so he has to meet, I believe he was called the Elder. And the Elder, he has to go to Casablanca, and he has to go to meet the Elder. He has to walk in the desert until his last breath. And then that is when the Elder, if he deigns to see you, will find you. Walk the desert until you've reached your last breath. And if the Elder decides, that's when he'll save you. That's when he'll see you. It's just, it's just so stupid. Wander the desert until you're alive. And you know what the weird part was? The whole desert thing was around one scene. It's when Sophia, before John Wick, because she drives him to the desert, drops him off, and goes, "Vayos con Dios," whatever, right? But before he leaves, she offers her a water bottle with just a mouthful of water in it, right? And before John can grab it, she takes it back, chugs it, just gargles with it, and then spits it back into the bottle. That was the whole purpose of the desert scene for that stupid, lame joke. That was it. There is no other value for him having to go into the desert, wander until you're left, wearing his full suit, mind you, the dude never loses his suit. Even when he's wandering the desert, dying of heat stroke, will not take off that damn suit. It was cool. So then he gets to the elder and wants to make the deal on having the excommunication dropped. And the elder asks John, why do you want to live? This is John Wick's reply. I seek to live for the memory of the love of my wife. At least in the first one when they shot his dog, it was literally the catalyst for why he went on a rampage. I seek to live so I can keep the memory of the love of my wife? Is that the best you got? Is this the best you got? That is sad. That is sad. So then anyway, so the elder goes, okay, if you kill, again, I'm warning you, if John kills Winston, the contract will be dropped, the excommunication will be dropped, but John has to go back to being an assassin. That's the deal. I'll let you live, but you gotta be an assassin again. What else is John gonna do? It's not like he's got a day job. But his income had to have been his wife. What job does he have? So, it's barely a decision to even make. The only hard part of the decision was, he has to kill Winston, which is his friend. Fine. But now, he has to show fealty, and I understand the symbolism of what's supposed to happen, but the symbolism fails. It's just... So, for some reason, instead of taking the ring off of his finger and giving it to the elder, John has to cut off his ring finger, takes the ring off his severed ring finger, and gives the ring to the elder. So now the symbolism is, he has to give up his past life. I'm guessing. And he's now devoting himself to the elder or the table or whatever. His whole purpose for doing this is to remember the love he had for his wife. But he's supposed to forswear the love that he had for his wife? I mean, he's supposed to renounce his love for his wife because he's not supposed to be devoted to the Assassin's Guild. But he wants to stay alive to remember the love. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. So if anybody wants to correct me, go right ahead. But I don't think the writers and the directors really... It's not like they thought much else through. They just figured it was a really cool scene because, hey, he cut his finger off. And that's all you're going to remember. That's all you're going to remember, that he cut his finger off. Okay, so let's talk about the lack of suspension of disbelief and go straight into brain dead moron. So he goes back to New York and he's in the tunnel in, I guess, Grand Central Station. And he meets, and there's two assassins or I'm just going to call them assassins. So two assassins show up. Now again, there are people all around them. Not in the distance, I mean literally walking up and down the tunnel right beside them. So these two assassins show up, and then from right behind them, I'm not going to get into it, but these other two assassins are part of a group. I want you to at least have some enjoyment of the movie and get some surprises if you're dumb enough to watch this before you've seen the movie. Because again, the other stuff isn't really stupid. It's just, So these other two assassins sneak up behind the first two assassins and with knives just kill them. And kills them with the knives and then drags them away. Nobody reacts to this. Nobody. Now I understand in New York everybody keeps their eyes open, but bullshit. Bullshit. You see two guys being stabbed and murdered, somebody's gonna at least call 911, right? Nothing. And it was at this point where I went, hey, if nobody else cares what's going on, how can the movie expect me to care? Nobody reacts to these two guys getting killed in front of people just walking right beside them. I don't even know what the point was. What? Was everybody in the tunnel an assassin? Was that it? And they didn't care? But that doesn't work because there's that $14 million bounty. Well, I think it's like 15 at this point.